Okay, well, welcome everybody, and like Kanan said, this session's really just all around some of our experiences around rebates to help companies reduce discounting, mass pricing, and increase selling opportunities. So from an agenda perspective, I've got a few slides just to talk about kind of what we're seeing in the marketplace as we talk to companies about rebates. And then we're going to look at kind of some of the business drivers around why companies are using those to drive top line dollars and improve their margins. And then I'm going to actually go into the product and talk about the solution, and then go into the product and give you a snapshot of what the solution looks like, and give you an example of a couple of rebate programs that I actually created to help. One example will be to kind of show how a company uses the system for price masking, and then the other example will be how a company uses this for maybe some upsell or cross-sell examples. What we're seeing in the marketplace, kind of what we termed realities of the high-tech rebates. So we're talking to a lot of customers. As Hanan said earlier, we've got two high-tech companies deployed today. One is Nokia, one is Dell. But in the last year and a half or so, we've actually talked to a number of different companies about rebates. And what we're finding is that successful high-tech companies are using rebates, right? And you can see some of the names up there. We've actually talked to these companies. They're using them today, and they're successful. One of the things we always hear as well from our customers and prospects are there's a perception out there that the customers only want upfront discounting, right? They don't want to understand how they can make more money or have better discounts on the back end, but they only want that front end discount. With the rebates opportunity, you can actually use that as a negotiation tool, right? You can tell your customers, we'll give you 10% up front, or we'll give you 14% on the back end, and maybe use that as a negotiation tool to specify a specific criteria or quantity that they have to reach in order to get that increased back end rebate. Another thing is for underperformers, this is a way for them to bring them up to a neutral or overperforming company, right? Use this as a negotiation tool. Let them know that they're going to get a specific price up front, and then on the back end, once they reach a certain quantity, then they'll get the discount on top of that. So the previous slide was really kind of what we're seeing in the marketplace as we talk to other customers and prospects. But there are surveys and research done outside of Model N that are in play, and you can see here from AMR, they interviewed about 60 high-tech companies, manufacturers, and out of that, about 29% felt their company had a good reliable process in place. Actually, I will tell you this is the biggest area that we see in talking to customers, is that the processes and tools and systems that are in place are not reliable today. So 20% of the companies rated incentive payments as the #1 factor in their improvement plans moving forward. 21% of those don't effectively track overpayments, or only 20% track overpayments of those rebates. And what we're seeing is not only do a lot of companies not track if they're overpaying, but they have no idea how much they're overpaying. And then surprisingly, less than 10% of those companies know if they're even generating the desired results, right? So one of the missing factors in a lot of companies we talk to is they've got these rebate programs in place, they've got the systems, they've got the people managing these, but they have no idea how they're performing, how the actual rebate program is performing for that specific desired behavior. Right? There's no way to track that because of the lack of tools, the lack of systems, the lack of processes that are in place, and the inefficiencies around those. So from a PwC survey perspective, it showed that 50% of the companies want to use rebates, but they get resistance from finance. Right? Finance is one of the big areas where they see inefficiencies, they see the processes breaking down, and what they need is a complete, accurate data flow and audit trail for all the information and all the transactional processes that go into a rebate program. Okay, so a couple of the big business drivers that we see, there's two main business drivers that we see in using rebates. One is to drive top line dollars, and the other is to drive improved margins. So if we look at the top line dollars, rebates can be used to actually increase market share and channel mind share, and there's different ways we can do that. I'll show you exactly, or one example of that as I get into the product. But it's a way for you to reward your customers and partners who give you more market share. You can set up rebate programs that actually reward them when they reach a certain goal, whether it's an improvement over a previous goal, or whether it's a yearly goal, or whatever kind of goals you want to set around market share. It also allows you to reward your customers who achieve a specific volume or a specific dollar amount, or even market penetration goals, right? So if it's a new product or a segment or a new market that you want to get into, this is a way to really push and incent your customers to do that. And then there's pay against performance. So you can just set up rebate programs that say, you know what, when you perform at this level, this is what we'll pay you, and the programs are set up to do that. And then you can leverage rebates to drive either upsell or cross-selling opportunities across multiple product lines. So you can incent somebody to buy a specific product once they've bought a specific amount or a specific dollar amount of another product. You've got a new product introduction. Maybe it's an old product that's not selling too well. You can actually use this to help drive the volumes and the revenues across those products that aren't selling too well. The other area is around just improving overall channel efficiency and providing real-time visibility into the overall programs. So this gives you the ability not only internally to see and understand what's going on within your rebate program processes, but also give you access to your customers and your partners so that they can see the status of where they are in attaining their rebate goals or their revenues that you've set up for them, okay? We've got several customers, Dell is an example, who their 40,000 partners actually log into a portal where they have access to see where they stand with certain rebate programs, what the status is of those rebate programs, and what the status is of the payments that are associated with those rebate programs. And then we have the ability to automate the processes around how you get the information, the sales data, into the actual rebate program. So once you automate that process, it's much easier for your partners and customers to push the data into your system, whether it's through manual POS uploads, whether it's indirect submissions, whether it's direct submissions, whether it's through EDI. You want to have flexibility in automating that process so it makes it easy for your customers to send you data, and it also makes it easier for you to process that data and calculate the rebate payments against that. And then the last item is really once that data is in the system, you want an easy way for that and an automated way for that to actually process, calculate, and determine what the actual payment should be and the claim should be, and then have the systems and the processes in place to calculate, not only calculate that, but also go through a review process, maybe an adjustment process, and the ability to include and exclude specific lines maybe as part of that overall process, meaning you're getting an accurate count, an accurate calculation against what that claim should be, and then automating how that claim actually gets back to your customer. Okay, so the other area of kind of business driver is around just driving margins, and of course the first topic is really just avoiding upfront discounting and margin loss. I talked a little bit about that earlier. What you want to avoid is actually giving a big discount up front when the customers promise to meet a specific criteria or attainment goal, and then they don't meet that. We hear that all the time. And a lot of our customers do not actually track that, and they don't enforce it, right? So this is one way to help enforce that. You're only going to pay a specific discount when they reach a specific goal, right? And it's a back-end rebate, and you can still get them the discount they want and the discount you want to give them, but you do that on the back end once they've met their goals. Another area that we see quite a bit is where you want to mask the OEM price from the contract manufacturers. So basically what that allows you to do is create these price agreements that you have with your end customers, and then keep that price from the contract manager or contract manufacturers by rebating that OEM on the back end. The other thing it does is it helps reduce the kind of the ability for the ODMs and CMs to actually buy at different prices against maybe multiple contracts and using that information and using that price to sell to customers when they really shouldn't be selling to a specific customer, right? So that helps avoid those issues. The other area is really just to reduce channel incentive payments, overpayments. So I talked a little bit about this earlier as well, but most of the companies we talk to do not even track this information. They don't track. I can't tell you how many customers we've gone into where we ask, are you overpaying? And they say yes. How much? I have no idea. They have no idea how much they're actually overpaying. And the reason behind that really is because they don't have the systems, they don't have the process, they don't have the tools to track it. Everything's done either with the legacy system in multiple systems, either with a hopped up Excel spreadsheet. They have no way of tracking whether that's how much the overpayments are actually causing them problem. And it also helps to reduce administration costs and improve the accuracy. So by automating all the processes that we're kind of talking about across the process cycle, you're reducing the actual administration cost for rebate programs in general. So you can automate the overall sales and POS data collection and cleansing process, right? Automate the actual validation of who's eligible for a specific rebate, and also what products are eligible for a specific rebate and in what situations. And then it helps to automate the whole accrual process and any payment approvals. So as accruals accumulate and payments get generated, you can have an approval process that these go through before they actually get paid, okay? Okay, so this is an actual process Chevron slide that talks about the process that our solution, our rebate solution, actually helps you go through. So from a program setup perspective, on the far left, you'll see the chevron say create contract. So we use the term contract very loosely, if you will, for the rebate program solution. It's not really designed for a legal contract, if you will, and a legal negotiation type of contract. It can be used for that, but for the rebate application, it's really a container or a framework that you use to build your rebate programs within. Okay? It helps you kind of define some overall header level information, who the customers are, maybe what kind of payments they receive, how they receive payments, things like that. It lets you define that at the overall header level. Within that contract, then, you're able to set up one or more rebate programs. So when you set up a rebate program, you're identifying a couple of things. You're identifying tiers and benefits. And what those are, tiers are what we define as the qualification criteria. Okay, that's what we deem as a tier. And then the benefit is what gets paid out when that qualification gets attained. So it also lets you define customer eligibility and product eligibility. So you define which customers are actually eligible for this rebate program, and then what products are eligible for that rebate program as well. And then you define how you actually calculate the payments and how you actually accrue against that rebate program. Okay? You can set up how the accrual actually happens, whether it's a percentage, whether it's by volume, and then how you track that over time. Okay? Once we move to the second and third chevrons, it's really all about data management and rebate calculations. So from a data management perspective, we allow you to bring in data in multiple ways. It can be manual through an import, or it can be done through automated feeds through EDI. We're very flexible. We allow you to bring in multiple types of data in multiple ways. Once that's done, or once that's brought into the system, we can run it through some validation and cleansing tools. Very similar to the way we do this, or you probably do this today if you're using our POS module, where you bring the POS in, you actually validate the data against maybe the debit, the quote, et cetera, and then you actually cleanse and alias some of that information so that the cleansing actually improves over time. The same concept in the rebate application as well. Once the data management comes in, once the data and all the information's there, then that data runs against the rebate programs themselves. So it actually goes out, runs against the programs, determines which programs it's actually eligible for, and then based on that, it calculates the payment. It understands which tiers you might have achieved, so which qualifications they qualify for, and then what benefit they're going to get based on that qualification. We also allow you to do customer and product roll-ups. So if you've got a hierarchical structure, you can actually roll up the data and information up to a higher level if you want. In the example I'll give later, I've got Apple Corp, but there's several Apple entities underneath that. So as data comes into the entities, it'll roll up to an overall Apple Corp environment. Once I move to the next couple of chevrons, the approve and pay and reversal and amendment. So once the rebate programs are set up, once the calculations are done, then you've got processing and payment capabilities. So within the processing and payment capabilities, you can do manual overrides, right? As you move it through the approval process, you may want to push it through a manual override, if you will. And by the way, you can have an approval process set up to trigger on a manual override. So as somebody actually does a manual override, that could trigger an extra approval step that then gets approved because of that manual override. And that leads into the overall workflow process. So as payments get created, you can set up specific payment approval routes based on whatever your needs are, move that through the approval route, and send that through the process. On the adjustment side, we see a lot of customers actually making adjustments post-payment, right? So they get a payment, 3 months later, their customer sends in some data and says, you know what, we were wrong, here's some updated data. So the system allows you to actually do reversals after the fact and correct that, and then calculate an adjustment amount that then gives you the net payment and processes that net payment back out. And then we also have an automated amendment process as well. So as the programs get amended, as the programs get changed, the data that's already in the system actually runs against that amendment and then reprocesses that data so the new payment can be calculated and sent out. The last item on the process there is around reports. We have a variety of ways we can actually report against the rebate data that's in the system. There's standard reporting. We include some templates. There's custom templates that you can run. Various kinds of reporting, and then the bottom there, integration to the analytic tools. You guys have probably seen the analytic tools across the last 2 days. This integrates to that as well, where you can actually use the rebate data in your analytics to determine kind of your overall performance of the rebate program, how it's performing, and then also you can use that to determine what your overall net waterfall is, and include rebates as part of that overall waterfall. At a higher level, as well as an individual level, which rebates are contributing to my waterfall and in what ways. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This is just an example of some of the programs that we see customers using a lot of. We actually provide these as out-of-the-box rebate programs. Payment against overall volume and value attainment, they're very simple. If you order this quantity, you get this rebate, or if you get to this revenue, you get this rebate. They're tiered programs, right? Like you talked about, Michelle, right? So for this specific tier, you get a rebate. As you move to this tier, you get a bigger one. As you move to a further one, you get more money. We actually see a lot of non-cash programs as well. So the system allows you to manage and track that. Instead of actually calculating a dollar amount, they actually calculate some sort of program that gives them free goods, free products, free service, whatever it may be. And then, of course, I talked about growth and market share goals as well, and other types of indirect programs, distribution, leasing, et cetera. So we talked a little bit about helping. I won't spend a lot of time with this, but because we're automating the system, because we're tracking all the data, we're keeping a history log, we're keeping an audit trail, it supports really a lot of the financial controls that the finance department needs to have, okay? It helps with the audits. It not only makes the data more accurate, but because we've got the processes and the systems and the information in place, it actually helps with the actual time it takes to go through an audit as it relates to this specific data. Okay, so this slide is just an example of where a rebate solution fits in the overall environment within your company or within a generic company, if you will. It's designed to integrate to different systems, whether it's on the front end, whether it's on the back end. The ERP system obviously is a necessity. That's where we get products and customers and partner data that you have in your ERPs today. Data would then flow from the ERP into the model and rebate solution. On the left-hand side is integration to your partners, whether that's through manual Excel spreadsheets that get uploaded, or whether it's through tying in via EDI. We need to get the data from your partners, from your customers, into the system in order to calculate the actual rebate data. And then lastly, on the CRM side, it's a way for you to communicate the programs, the rebate programs and the rebate status and any reports out to your customers through your CRM application. I talked a little bit about Dell Either, but we're integrated with Salesforce there, and we push all the data about the programs out to their Salesforce. Their partners log in. They can actually see the status of their rebates and what the status of the programs are and what the status of their payments are. And they do that all through a Salesforce window. So anyway, that's where it fit. It's designed to be integrated into your overall environment and work through various types of integration in the various systems that are available. So that's all I had today.